Hey everybody, Darin Garman here with Trot on this emergency podcast, this multifamily emergency podcast, and we've got a lot to cover on the emergency podcast. It's not like we have emergency podcasts very often, i.e. emergency, right? Right. That's right. That's why we got it. But we are here early morning, making sure we've got our coffee out, or at least I got my coffee. You'll get to the coffee at some point in time.
I finished my coffee this morning.
So, but in the quantities that I have, you got a ways to go. We have some very important things to talk about today on this podcast, and it's kind of like I said, we don't have an emergency podcast very often, but we have one. We're having one now, and we need to have one now. Let's go ahead and let's start this podcast off by, this is an article in the Wall Street Journal. The date is August 8th, 2023. And the headline in the article, and I'll show it to the camera here in just a second. You and I, of course, have had lots of discussion on this already. Apartment landlords face peril. I'll say it again. Apartment landlords face peril as their debt costs skyrocket. There's the article. Front page right below the cap. Okay, right below the cap, front page article. Okay, I'll read it again. Apartment landlords face peril as their debt costs skyrocket, dated August 8th, 2023. Okay, now, Trot, I want you to read the headline on the letter that I sent to our partners, and I want you to, first of all, I want you to read the date, and I want you to read the headline. Okay, go ahead. Say the date.
All right, Darin, we got April 13th, 2022.
Stop. April 13th, 2022 is when I sent this out to our partners, so a little bit over a year ago.
Right.
Okay, date of this is, again, August 8th, 2023. Okay, just want to make that point. What's the headline?
Important critical trends you will see in the coming 12 months and how you can play Monopoly in real life.
Okay, important critical trends. Now, do me a favor, go over some of the highlights in the letter that was done a year and a half ago.
Well, I think
hit what I've got circled.
The biggest thing that stands out is the pullback has begun.
Pullback has begun. Okay, what else? Go ahead, what else is in there?
We got what was discussed at this high-level private multifamily meeting.
Okay, what else you got?
What most people will do in the coming months when this gets public.
Okay, now let's stop right there. All right. So this is a letter that I sent to our partners a year and a half ago. And the letter essentially says this is going to happen. That's what it says. All right, and I'll talk in some detail on what I recommended my partners. I'm going to share that with you on this podcast. But I called this a year and a half ago. So sometimes people would say, I hate to brag, but I'm going to brag for a second. I saw this coming. How many times have you and I talked about this over the last couple of years?
Oh,
a lot.
15 times, I'd say.
A lot.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot. And so I called this pullback, this apartment landlords facing peril, and they are facing peril. I mean, the shit is hitting the fan. It's going to get worse. But before we get ahead of ourselves, okay, I will brag for just a minute saying I called this a year and a half ago. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. First of all, number one, I can see what other people can't see in this, in the multifamily space. I can see what other people can't see. Now, that's going to sound super conceited. That's going to sound, what the hell are you talking about? Let me tell you why. Because I got gray hair and I've been doing this for almost 40 years. That's how I can see. Okay? It's not because I'm, special. I'm not. But when you have been doing this and you've been in this space as long as I have, and you've been nose to nose, toes to toes with the number of people that I have been, going on 40 years, there is no algorithm for experience. There's none. There's no algorithm for experience. So I know, I can see what's happening. I called this almost 2 years ago because I got gray hair and I've been doing this for almost 40 years. Okay? All right? And so that's like number one. That's number one. Okay, number two, go ahead and read the part in this where, because this is very important. It's very important. Read that sentence one more time.
What was discussed at this high-level private multifamily meeting?
What was discussed at this high-level multifamily ownership operator meeting? Okay, so let me talk about that for a second because it's very important to what we're going to talk about in regards to a ton of landlords right now having a shit ton of problems with the amount of debt they got. Okay, so I'm in this meeting in Las Vegas. It would have been in January of 2022. I'm part of at that point in time, it was a mastermind group of multifamily owners and operators. And, not surprisingly, as part of, what we do in that group is we get together, help each other out, share stories, and network with each other to help each other the best way possible. Okay. And I was really disturbed in that meeting about a couple of things. One was the hubris of the people sitting around the table. And what I mean by that is there was a huge sense of, we're really, really damn good at what we do. Nothing can really stop us. We're going to plow ahead and continue to buy properties. I had people telling me, I don't really care how much it is per unit. We're just going to buy it. I don't care how much per unit it's going to cost to build it. We're just going to build it. I actually had people telling me this and feeling really good about that. Okay? I had people telling me that, they're going to keep raising rent 20, 25% a year. I'm listening to this and I'm like, are you guys just effing crazy? There's no way this is sustainable. There's no way. And so part of what we do during this meeting is each of us have our own individual time where we stand up and we talk about, here's our issues, here's our problems, how can you help me? Okay. So I took my time not to look for help, but to basically do two things. Number one, I wanted to get a sense of the room as how many people, well, there's like maybe 60 some people in this room, supposedly smart people, real smart people. I asked them, how many of you have been through a recession? How many of you have had to navigate any multifamily properties through some really hard shit? Over 60% of the room raised their hand that they hadn't been through a recession. Oh my God. Now I'm like concerned, because you mean to tell me that you guys are making all of these decisions and saying all of these things and you've never been through tough times? More than half of the room raised their hand and said, no, we haven't. Okay, so that's part one of that. Part two of that little meeting, I began to tell them, I said, look, this is basically Uncle Darin from Iowa telling you how it is. You guys need to put the brakes on. You need to take a deep dive into how much debt you're taking on and how much you're paying per unit for these properties. Because if you continue this, you are going to run into problems and you are going to be front page headline. I swear to God, I told them this. Now, how do you think that went over when I told them that?
You're just the old geezer you're paranoid geezer, that's what you are.
That's exactly what it was. I was like booed. I was told I was the downer of the meeting. I was told, maybe we should be thinking about this, Darin, but this really isn't the place to be saying those kinds of things. I was actually told this. And by the way, by extension, I never got invited for another round in this mastermind. I've never been invited back. Okay.
Maybe now if they read the Wall Street Journal, maybe they'll.
Well, I know I'm going to have people from that meeting contacting me. Right. I know I am. So what does all that mean? Here's what that means. And here's where it's important for you, our viewers and our listeners. And here's where it's important for us. That group that raised their hand and continued to believe that they could buy these properties, leveraging the shit out of them, paying unbelievable prices for them, thinking they can raise rents 20, 30% a year, that is the microcosm of the giant problem that's out there now. That's why you have the problem out there now, and that's why you have Wall Street Journal having a front page article on it. And it's just scratching the surface. It's just scratching the surface, okay? This is what's going on out there right now. And so that's what's going on. That's what's happening. I called this a year and a half ago. I saw this coming. And so now it's okay. And I said, what's that right there? What's that right there?
What most people will do in the coming months when this gets public.
I must be like clairvoyant because now it's becoming public. Again, this is a year and a half ago I predicted this. What will most people do once it becomes public? And now this information is public. And by the way, here's kind of how this information works, Trot. Here's how it works. When it's out there at this level, what you're seeing is you're seeing it at its minute level. So basically, you read this article, you go ahead and you internalize it, and you think, yeah, there's kind of a big problem out there. No, this is the little microcosm of a big, huge freaking problem. So we're only seeing it now at a stage, well, yeah, there must be a problem. No, this has been going on and festering for months. It's huge, and we're only scratching the surface and seeing this problem now. Okay, seeing it now. All right, and so what most people will do. I'm going to tell you what I think multifamily owners should do. I'm going to tell you what I think like the general investor guy, investor lady, investor person should do. So let's start with multifamily owner. If you're a multifamily owner right now, you better make sure that you've got your debt side of things tied up and as tight as you possibly can. Because if you think interest rates are going to go down here in the near future, you're wrong. They're not. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, which of course has driven a lot of this, has been rising interest rates. So you better get the debt side of things figured out. Because as those interest rates go up, Trot, what happens to the value of apartment communities?
Down. And you know what's weird? As they've gone up, we haven't seen that much of a decrease in price yet. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. There's like a lagging effect of this.
Right.
That's because 18 months ago,
right.
Here, lagging effect. We'll start seeing it. And because, values are going to go down. Now, whether you want to fight reality or not, that's your choice. But you better be damn sure to be working on the debt side of things, the equity side of things of your properties, okay? You better be doing that now. So that would be for most landlord operators out there. Those of you that are in trouble, those of you that this article applies to you, you better call me. You better give me a call to see if there's some way we can help you out. Whether it's looking at buying your property, whether it's looking at doing some kind of consulting. By the way, this isn't a pitch for services. I don't care. I'm just saying if you're going through this and you need some help and you need some guidance from somebody that's been involved in this business going on 40 years, I'm like your guy. So you should contact me. My contact information is here. We should discuss, can we help you by looking at maybe buying your property? Can we maybe give you a couple of ideas that can help you? I want to help you. All right? Sincerely, I do. Because I've been down the road as well where I've had issues, problems, and the shit has hit the fan for me. Right? So I got my experience knowing what to do through going through bad experiences as well, i.e. 2008, 2009, for example. All right. So I want to help. We want to help. If you are an owner operator, I don't care how many units you got. If there's a way we can look at buying your property, maybe having you cash out or liquidate, and getting some cash, and maybe you've got some partners you can at least salvage some relationships there. We want to look at that. You want some consulting? You want to talk to me about maybe 3 or 4 ideas I've got? Let me know. Okay, happy to help you out. All right. So let's talk about the general public. What should you be doing? So if you're an investor, right? If you're an investor right now, you're looking for a place to put your money. You have now found a freaking great place to put your money. Okay? Why? There are going to be discounted opportunities coming up. I don't think I'm going to say like we've never seen before. That's probably a stretch. Because you go back to the 80s with savings and loan, fallout, Resolution Trust Corporation. And by the way, just as a side note, if you're an investor and don't know what that is and you're in the world of real estate, that's like one big problem and probably why you're having problems. So Resolution Trust Corporation days, I mean, that was massive. That was huge. That was painful. Painful. But you're going to be seeing properties coming online that you're going to be able to be buying at a freaking discount. I woke up this morning, saw the article, went on my bike ride. I came home and I told my wife, I said, we're going to make a ton of money. We're going to make a ton of money because there's going to be a lot of properties coming online and you're going to be able to buy them at a discount. Okay. Some markets, I think like here in the heartland, I don't think you're going to see, dozens coming on the market every month. I don't think it's going to be that kind of, churn.
Well,
but big cities though, larger metro areas, I mean, here's like an example. I bet in Houston, Texas, I bet there's going to be a bazillion freaking opportunities.
That's exactly what
I bet.
Especially
don't you?
Big cities that are newly developed or still developing,
Mm-hmm.
because that's who paid the most per unit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who got the worst rates. So yeah, I think it's the big cities with the newer developments.
I almost want to live in Phoenix, Arizona right now. Do you know how many deals are going to be coming online in Phoenix or in the Phoenix area, Scottsdale area? Where else I'd like to be? Nashville. Do you know how many deals are going to be coming online in Nashville? All right. By the way, all those are good like markets in terms of employment. I mean, everything's good in all those places, but it's not going to save these apartment communities. It's not. It's not. We're going to see them here in the Heartland too. Again, there won't be as many just because of our population size, but we're going to be seeing them as well. So if you are, if you're an investor and you've got capital, you want to keep it aside. All right, keep your powder dry and either be doing one of two things. Okay, number one is you want to be out there starting to look for these opportunities right now. So you want to be putting Trot, lines in the water and building up and getting in touch with a network of people that can help bring some of these deals to you to cross your desk if and when they come up, okay? Because they're coming up. And so it's helpful to be someone that gets like a first shot at those, a first look-see. Some used to call it peekaboo, get a peekaboo look at it. So that's number one. Or you need to be aligning yourself up with someone that's going to be in there, really in the ring, looking at, fighting through, getting access to these kinds of properties that are going to be coming up, because they are going to be coming up. Okay, so this is going to sound a little self-promotional, but it's smart if you got aligned with me, for example, because what do you think we're going to be doing?
Keeping the lines in the water, checking everything out, buying.
See, you think you're putting in some pretty serious hours now. I'm here to tell you, it's you're gonna really be putting in. You're really going to be putting in some hours. But I'm sincere when I say this. Like when I walked in from my bike ride this morning, I told Gina, I said, we're gonna make a ton of money. We're gonna make a ton of money because of the things that I predicted almost 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they're coming. We're only seeing the surface being scratched, even though it's now been made public, like I said it would. But if you are an investor, get either your powder dry and lined up, ready to go, get your lines in the water, or get in touch with someone that can give you that kind of access to those properties, and you can participate in that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you are an owner-operator and you're having problems, you need to contact me. I bet you there's something we can do to help you out. So that's number two. And then here's number three. So let's kind of take a final little install on this emergency podcast, Trot, and let's talk about where do you do from here? So let's say you are a real estate person like us. Okay, you're in the multifamily space. With this news, do you stop buying? Do you put the brakes on? Do you just sit back and wait? No, you don't. No, you don't. And admittedly, you want to probably now maybe shift your focus a little bit more towards some distress kinds of situations that I think we're going to see. But I don't think because of this, you're like, I'm going to put the brakes on and stop. Okay, here's why. Number one, real estate, especially multifamily, has shown over the long term, it's a great place to be. Millions of people have made billions of dollars. There have been billionaires made from multifamily real estate. So there's a pretty solid argument. You need to stay in the space. Okay, you don't want to get out. You want to continue in this space. That's number one. Number two, though, now your underwriting and the debt that you get to buy it needs to be super conservative. Super conservative. So our process when we buy apartment communities for years has been we don't borrow more than 50 to 60% of the sales price. Ever. Okay? And there's no personal loan guarantees, right? So nobody's signing anything to the bank in case something happens. Okay, so there's none of that. And our underwriting provides plenty of cash reserves and room just in case. Okay, just in case.
Well, plus best case scenario, worst case scenario, performance. I think that helps too. Understanding the numbers prior, what they can be prior to going into it.
Exactly. You want to know best case and worst case. You don't want to go into these deals anymore like, how can we make this work? Right. No, you don't want to go through the process of how can we make this work. You want to make it work on your terms with that kind of boring debt and equity structure. That's what you need. Now, over the years, people make fun of me about this. Oh, come on, Darin. I mean, it's 2023. You're not getting bridge financing. You're not getting third and fourth loans. You're not doing this. You're sacrificing return. I mean, come on. You got to get out of that Midwestern heartland thinking, brother, because what you're doing is not smart. Guess what? Boring is beautiful. Okay? So, be boring moving forward with your purchasing, your equity, and your finance part of this, and you're going to be just fine. While you may turn the car a little bit towards the direction of finding more distressed properties. Okay, so in conclusion, I'm going to mention two quick things, and then Trot, if you got anything, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this up because it is an emergency podcast. Number one, this is the source for this. As I mentioned, I've been ahead of this for almost 2 years. And so staying in touch with me, with what we're doing, with what some of my partners are up to, you want to get connected with us with what we do and how we do it to take advantage of what some of these things are going to be bringing to the market, you need to get in touch with me. The contact information is here. Make sure you do. Trot will then follow up with you, and then we'll go from there in terms of having you involved in our informational loop on what we're working on, what's happening, and how we're doing it, okay? And how we're purchasing the properties too, all right? But you'll be now directly involved in that with us. Be a good idea if you want to take advantage of that, all right? That's number one. Number two, stay tuned to our channel here. There's going to be updates. Things are going to be changing. This isn't, going to be, static now for another year. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be more downs. There might be things that we may want to take a different look at. We may discover a month, 2, 3 months down the road. So make sure if you're not subscribed to us, if you're not connected to us, if you're not getting my newsletter, okay, get connected to us. Don't miss out on these things just because you're not connected to the right source that can get you this kind of information and hell, possibly an opportunity to get involved in something pretty special. Okay, Trot, you got anything you want to add in closing?
I'm excited. That's all I got.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The kind of sad part of this is one person's problem always tends to be another person's opportunity. And we don't wish anybody to have any problems. We don't wish ill on people. We don't want people to go through foreclosures or we don't want that at all. I don't want any of that for anybody. However, reality is people are going to go through that, and there's going to be somebody that is going to be on the other end of that opportunity, and you're right, it may as well be us, right? All right, so thank you. Appreciate you for being here, Trot. Thanks for getting here early for this emergency podcast. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll be talking to you soon. See you. Bye-bye.